We all know what mild hearing loss is like on the Goodman scale, but what do these numbers really mean?
For our project, we wanted to experience what a mild hearing loss really feels and sounds like.
We got our hearing tested while wearing earplugs to verify that we actually did have a mild hearing loss with them in.
We went to various everyday locations to see how our mild hearing loss affected our interactions with other people. And this is what happened.
That's really weird. That's super weird.
Let's get it. Uh-oh. Yes, it is gonna be good. Which one did you say it was? Not Grasslands?
Which way? What did you say?
Is it the Grasslands one?
No, it was the camera one.
Thank you for choosing Chick-fil-A. How may I serve you?
I'd like to get the spicy chicken deluxe meal, please.
What would you like to drink?
But I don't want tomatoes on there.
Okay.
And then what was the other question?
What to drink?
Sweet tea.
I also want a cup of water.
And then can I get a cup of water as well?
Alright, I've got a spicy deluxe meal, no tomato, with a sweet tea and a water. Anything else?
That'll be it.
Okay, it's going to be $6.85 at the window, please.
Hey.
Do you have number 4, no tomatoes with a sweet tea, and then a water to go with that?
Yeah.
Any sauce to go with that?
What was that?
Okay, that'd be $6.85. Any sauce?
Okay. Let me get Chick-fil-A and barbecue.
What happened to you?
I tore my labrum. What is that?
Or your what?
Labrum. My shoulder.
Okay.
Shoulder.
Okay, cool. Well,
Thank you, sir.
hope you feel better.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Y'all have a great day. See ya.
Hello, dog.
Hey, Daddy.
Hey, Abby. I'm waiting on my truck. I'm at home with no vehicle.
Wait, what?
I'm at home with no vehicle.
Just wanted to say love.
What's up with you, little one?
What?
What's up with you?
What?
What is up with you?
I'll call you back later and let you know.
I can hear everything inside of me. Like whenever I breathe, I can hear it really loudly. When I'm walking, I can like feel the vibration of it. That might be because of the hiccups, but what are they talking about?
Grad school.
What?
Grad school.
Oh no, let's not do that. Anything but. I literally have no idea what she's saying, but like I can see her hands moving, so I know that she's having a conversation. Can you hear? It's kind of like sound recognition without word recognition.
The most difficult part was when I pulled around to the window and he started asking me stuff that wasn't related to like typical drive-through stuff. He asked me about my shoulder being hurt, and so all those different types of questions, it was hard to distinguish those.
I think the most difficult part was when I wouldn't pay attention to what he was saying necessarily. Like, the whole time I had to be really focused on what he was saying, but if I ever like just let my mind wander a little bit, I was completely lost. So I had to keep asking what, because I had no idea what he was saying. So I think that was the hardest part.
Definitely when she would like turn her head away ever at all, because the music's really loud in here, and like if she wasn't looking straight at me, I had no idea what she was saying. Like I kept on hearing really bizarre words that I knew weren't real, but I didn't want to like make a big deal about it.
The most difficult part was having to look at him the entire time he was speaking, because normally when somebody's that close you don't look at them the entire time that they're talking to you, but since you can't hear very well, you have to read their lips and like use context clues as to like what they're saying in order to pick up everything.
But the weirdest thing is like right when I took it out, all of a sudden there was like really loud wind noise, and I didn't hear any of it. It was like I was inside, and then I walked outside. It's kind of what it felt like.
It felt good at the beginning. It wasn't really that bad because it was the little amplified speaker box. So having the amplified sound made it easier to hear. And then and then when I drove around to the window, it was a little harder to hear because the window was down, the wind was blowing, and I had to ask him to repeat a few things.
I felt okay because it was my dad as somebody that I'm comfortable with, but at the same time I was a little uncomfortable because I knew something was different, so it was just a little weird, and yeah, I couldn't understand everything he was saying, so it was just kind of weird.
It was definitely uncomfortable. It's different from any normal shopping experience because like you have to really think about like which way they're facing and which way you're facing and like what they're thinking about you and stuff, and like if they're mad, and like really emotional sort of, I guess, for just a normal trip to the store.
I was kind of anxious, which is, I mean, I was expecting it to be more difficult, but I think because of that I was anticipating things, which you may do if you had a hearing loss. That may be common. But I noticed that because I knew what was supposed to happen, I was halfway reading lips and halfway hearing. Like I could tell what they were saying because I knew what they were supposed to say. But I don't know that it would have just caught my attention or that I would have actually understood.
I didn't think it was really that bad, but I had to really struggle and like lean in to listen, and it was really hard to differentiate between the different questions that weren't related to typical drive-through stuff.
I think what was different was I was anticipating it to be a lot easier since it was like on speakerphone, so I was expecting it to be easier to hear my dad. But even though it was like on speaker, I couldn't, even like I said, when I just like let my mind go a little bit, I still just like missed everything that he said. So I think I was expecting it to be easier than it actually was.
I guess I probably would have thought that like I would be able to hear most of it, and like some things like that were said more quietly would be cut out or that kind of thing. But it was sort of like I just like had no idea what was going on. Like I was trying to take like other cues from what's going on to like put things together, but like if I hadn't been really focused, I wouldn't have gotten probably any of it. It's not like it was just like some information getting in. It was like I would have been clueless without working really hard at it. So that was interesting.
With a mild hearing loss, before I learned about it, I just thought that it was just like what it sounds like, a mild hearing loss, but it really is worse than it sounds, and you really can't hear what's going on in your environment unless you focus on everything. So I guess that was what I found difficult, because you really have to pay attention to what the speaker is saying and watch their lips in order to fully understand what they're saying and being able to function properly.
I don't know, it's kind of like with anything where you're like, oh, it's going to feel like this and you're going to think like this. But to be like, I don't actually know what's going on very well. Like I am kind of faking it when people are talking and looking at them. I also noticed that like when you go into a room and you feel not necessarily awkward, but you're looking for something to do as soon as you get somewhere, like people always do. You walk into a room and you don't really know what to do first. Typically you use all of your senses, but I noticed that I was just using my visual senses, and so I was looking at everything. And I was like looking at the artwork a lot more and like the different people more than I would. I probably would have done more half and half if I could have heard better.